The Khoi, The Awakening Guardians, Part 6. Have you ever looked closely at South Africa's national crest? Right at the center are two ancient figures, drawn from rock art, painted by the first people of this land. They stand facing one another in greeting. This was no accident. It was chosen to symbolize unity, to remind us of the first guardians who walked here long before empire, long before colonizers, long before apartheid. And yet, while their image stands at the heart of the nation's seal, their descendants still wait for recognition, honored in symbol but not in justice. Isaiah 29:13 says, "These people draw near with their mouths and honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me." For 6 years, a man known as King Khoi SA and his people camped outside the Union buildings in Pretoria. They called for recognition as the first nation of this land. They called for the end of the colored label. They called for the restoration of land and dignity. And how did the government answer? Eviction, silence, delay. In 2019, Parliament passed the Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Act. It promised recognition, but it tied the first guardians under the same colonial-style structures that once erased them. In 2023, the Constitutional Court ruled the act unconstitutional because the people themselves had not been consulted. But instead of striking it down, the court suspended its ruling. The act stayed in force, while Parliament was given time to draft a new law. That deadline was May 2025. When the day arrived, it was postponed again. The court extended the act's life for 2 more years, until 2027, recognition delayed, justice postponed, the first guardians trapped in limbo. Year after year, the scroll of man's law drags out what the Heavenly Father already wrote long ago. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but when the desire comes, it is a tree of life. Proverbs 13:12. On the 4th of September 2025, the Khoisan community in the Western Cape called for President Cyril Ramaphosa's resignation for yet again excluding the indigenous people from the G20 summit and accused the government of selling natural resources rightfully belonging to them. This was televised by ENCA, but to date, no official response has been given. Why is it like this? Because South Africa still enforces the same lie the Portuguese originally brought on assignment from the Pope, called the Doctrine of Discovery, followed by the British, who brought their fake version of the doctrine. This doctrine declared, any land without a Christian king could be seized in the name of the empire. If the people had no monarch, no crown, no European-style throne, they were dismissed as non-sovereign. The first guardians had chiefs, headmen, headwomen, and councils of elders. Their authority was real. Their systems were ancient. But because they did not look or speak like Europe's kingdoms, the empire declared, they do not count. No treaties needed. Their land is empty. Terra nullius. This lie became the foundation for conquest. It justified slavery. It justified land theft. Versions of this fake doctrine are built into the law. It justified the 1913 Land Act and every law that followed. Even though the Vatican and the world have since condemned the doctrine of discovery, its shadow still rules South Africa today. In 2012, the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues declared, the doctrine of discovery has no place in the 21st century. It was based on racism. It was legally invalid when it was proclaimed, and it must be formally repudiated. And yet here in South Africa, its legacy still denies the first guardians their sovereignty. Psalm 24:1. The earth is the Heavenly Father's and all its fullness, the world and those who dwell therein. What do they fear? They fear the land claims that would follow true recognition. They fear the collapse of the colored label, the buffer system that divided the nation. They fear the exposure of false kingships that built empires' thrones. But above all, they fear prophecy. For once the guardians are recognized, the scroll of Eden opens in Africa, and Babylon's thrones begin to fall. Revelation 5:9-10. You have redeemed us to the Heavenly Father by your blood out of every tribe and tongue and people and nation, and have made us kings and priests to our Heavenly Father, and we shall reign on the earth. They placed the first guardians at the center of the crest, but not at the center of justice. They honored the image, but silenced the people. Yet the Heavenly Father has not forgotten his guardians. Recognition is already written, not in courts, not in parliaments, but in the scroll of heaven. And now the time has come to walk in that truth. Not through violence, not through bitterness, but through the right process, to speak with one voice, to reclaim true names, to demand that unjust laws be overturned, to align earthly justice with heaven's scroll. For no law of man can erase what the Father has sealed. And when the guardians stand, the nations will see that the earth is the Heavenly Father's, and he has not forgotten his own. Micah 6:8. He has shown you, O man, what is good, and what does the Heavenly Father require of you but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your Heavenly Father. This is not opinion. This is not man's doctrine. It is covenant truth, and it will stand when every empire has fallen. Choose this day whose decree you will follow, Babylon's or the Father's.